right, good morning or afternoon, I should say, University Avenue, or whoever's watching this video. I'm here with Becki Ramsey, who many of y'all know and love, and have known her and loved her longer than I have. But I've gotten to work with her, so I'm really enjoying this this time now, because we've spent a lot of time talking about hymns, and that's actually one of the first things that we did and connected on when I worked here, is talking about hymns. And so I love that we get to do this. Just a reminder, we're doing hymn history, but not just the history of hymns, but your histories with hymns. What hymns matter to you? Not your favorite one, just hymns that have come to you at different points in your life that you've loved or appreciated. And so one of the first things that I say is just to ask whoever I'm with, in this case Becki, to introduce themselves. And Becki, what is your history with hymns? Did you grow up in the church? Something you came to later? Just tell us a little bit about yourself with that.
Well, I've always been a member, or my parents were always members of the church. I can remember way back when I was younger, my granny would whistle hymns.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the kitchen, she'd be cooking and she'd be whistling something like, How Great Thou Art, or something. And I remember that as a child. And my other grandmother, she would kind of go, she would hum them. She would hum the songs. But my grandfather had a very beautiful, deep bass voice, and I still remember sitting by him at church and hearing that and just kind of being in awe. But my dad, who Ben reminds me of a little bit, plays guitar, banjo. He played guitar, banjo,
He's a folk
fiddle.
musician, yeah.
He didn't play the piano, though, and he did go to North Texas thinking he could make it as a music major, but he couldn't read music. And
hey, some of the best musicians can't read music.
And so he ended up being industrial arts. So he got his master's in that, and that's what he did. Well, that was his funness, and I remember Shirley talking about our families knowing each other. I do remember her dad coming over and with his guitar and playing with my dad, and they did Daddy did that with a lot of different people where they would play. So music has always been in my family. My mother was a terrific singer, and when I was in middle school, and maybe a little bit earlier than that, I was 9 years old. My dad would preach every Sunday morning at a little church just north of Georgetown called Strickland Grove, and it was kind of a family congregations. There were the Salyers and the I can't remember the other name, but Ishies. And they were the ones who led the singing and everything, and Daddy was the preacher. And we'd get up early Sunday morning and drive out there. And I can still see those older men singing songs like I'll Fly Away, or Will There Be Any Stars in My Crown? And it would have a real country twang to it. But it was amazing. So I've always loved that. And my older sister would sing alto, and so that's kind of where I started singing alto, and I have been alto ever since.
Yeah.
And my younger sister, I guess, copied me, and she sings alto, but she's a much better singer, and she can sing soprano and everything. I can't hit the high notes hardly anymore.
Oh, man.
But so it's been in our family forever, as far as I can remember. And John's parents too. His dad Billy Ramsey. He used to play the piano, but he played the black keys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many times I heard him sing songs, but one of them was he's got the whole world in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And another one was what was the name of that one?
Oh, there's so many experiences.
I know. Oh, You Are My Sunshine.
Oh, You Are My Sunshine.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why I remind you of your dad, because I think our families are a little bit similar in some ways like that. Like we have this old videotape of my oldest sister who had the thickest accent. And she's like this little 11-year-old girl, and she's singing "I'll Fly Away," and she's like, "I'll fly away." Those really thick accents, and our family's obviously really tied together, and that similar love of music.
Yeah.
And like even one of the first days here, it was you brought your dad's banjo, and I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful! This is a beautiful instrument." So it was just really neat to be able to talk to you about those things.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very similar appreciation for a lot of these hymns.
Mm-hmm.
So Becki, what hymn did you have on your heart today to bring us?
Well, I have a bunch of hymns, but the one that kind of pertains to me the most right now is Anywhere with Jesus. Mm-hmm. But I also had Be With Me, Lord, mm-hmm. which is a very good one, and In Heavenly Love Abiding.
Uh-huh.
And I always liked that one because at the end because it says it's got a real little alto part at the end.
Yeah,
so
no one ever gives y'all a good part. So when you find a good alto part, you cling to it for your life.
You cling to it, right? And Heavenly Sunlight. Just a lot of
some really good classic
ones. Old ones. And yes, my parents were older mm-hmm. and lived through the Depression and stuff like that, and they worked so hard, but they always gave so much too. So
mm-hmm. Those are the people that tend to sing the most also, because they recognize the comfort and the beauty of music. Mm-hmm. So let's focus on the first one you said then, because you and I both could talk about
all along, yeah.
Well, and also you guys don't know this, Becki was my rock in that if I wanted to lead a song and I didn't know if UA knew it, I'd always lean over to the office, Becki, do you guys know this one? And she'd tell me yes or no, or she wasn't quite sure, and so she was always helping me with that. But sometimes we would. At the end of a week on Thursday, you come in here and we'd just sing through some of the hymns that we were going to be leading on Sunday. I love that. So with this first one, Anywhere with Jesus, why are you bringing that one?
Well, as y'all know, I've lost a lot of family. 2011 and 12 were bad years, or sad years, I should say, because we lost John's mother and then his brother and then my mother. And, of course, I lost John in 2017. So there have been times when I have just been totally alone. And one of the things I have to remember all the time is anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. And it's humbling, but I do have to have a belief that he's going to protect me. So it's one I think about all the time. Mm-hmm. They teach you when you first get married, it's supposed to be the hierarchy is love God, and then your husband, and then your children, and like that. So, and it's hard because I really did love John, and but I will see him again, and also I've got to love God, put God first. Mm-hmm. So,
Well,
anyway,
because 2017, that's right whenever I got here, when I first showed up to UA. So I've been there since that has happened, and that was another reason why I think we sang hymns so much, is because we recognized the role of hymns in processing or grieving, or just being together.
Right.
As much as you can. As someone who's grieved or is grieving a lot, and that's why these songs are so important. It's one of the things that I talk about. It's a similar story to In the Garden. And you've heard me talk about this. That's one of the first songs we sang together. Is that people only talk about it as a funeral song, and I think it's well and good, but it's also there's something very beautiful and present about it, which is to say, walk with Christ in the garden now. And people who, even though you've lost people, you can still walk with Christ in the garden now. And I think that's a similar sentiment here with this hymn, Anywhere with Jesus, to say, this has happened and this has happened. And your family's in different places, and I'm in here, and I know my family's in Cleburne. I have some family in Houston and all over the place, and yet I can walk with Christ here right now, and then it's a blessing to have that passed on from your parents, especially, from someone like your dad who has given this love of which was passed on to him from your grandparents. And I truly believe one of the greatest gifts that we can pass on is a love of hymns and music. And I do love this hymn. I haven't sung it in a while. We need to bring it back. Is there any specific line that you're really drawn to? It's kind of like hymns, though, where it's like, is there any particular hymn? Yeah, here's 10. But is there any particular line that you're really drawn to?
The first one, particularly, because it says, for me not to be afraid, and he's going to be with me, and, I'm just not alone. It's kind of like something you would tell a child. It's like, who's always with you? Mm-hmm. Jesus, of course, so, I don't know. Maybe that's part of it.
Hey, well, no, I Jenna, sometimes, this is a side note, but I love this. Whenever I'm feeling particularly hurt or wounded by something, Jenna pictures me as a kid. Because there's this weird moment that I remember from my childhood where my parents used to put me in a little suit, and they had me comb my hair over and gel it and all that stuff, and kids at church used to make fun of me, and they'd throw rocks at me from the playground, and I remember going home and looking in the mirror and just being upset. And to this day, Jenna talks about, if I feel isolated or alone or anything like that, to picture me as a kid in front of the mirror and to go hug and comfort that child. And so there's something about that picture of being like a kid and Christ comforting us. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point, right? We're supposed to become like children. Mm-hmm. And so in a way, we're comforted like children. And how do we comfort children? A lot of the times it's through singing.
Lullabies, yeah.
Lullabies, yeah. And reiterating certain truths to them, like, you're not alone. I'm here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they don't understand that. Sometimes we don't understand that.
Sure.
But that doesn't negate the truth of what Christ is saying to us. Mm-hmm. And the verse that it says it's based on in my hymnal, it says, he rebuked the waves and it was calm, based out of Matthew 8, so that even though storms are raging around us, sometimes life is so up and down, sometimes it's just down, to be able to picture Christ as rebuking the winds and the waves and saying, no, you're safe. And I'm with you. Mm-hmm. There's a simplicity, but an absolute beauty to that. Man, I know I keep talking a lot because I can talk about this. Is there any other aspect of this hymn that you love or you want to share? Or are you content with that?
I think I'm content with that. Knowing I shall wake and never more to roam. Anywhere with Jesus will be home, sweet home. You know. Mm-hmm. It's just got some good words.
Yeah.
Like most of these old songs do.
Yeah, it's simple but good. I love that. I love that, and I love you, Beck.
I love you too.
I'm really glad to get to talk to you and talk with you about this hymn, and I'm just very thankful. So thanks.
Are we gonna get to sing it?
Well, we can. Yeah, if you want to do that, we'll do that. Okay,
you better believe it.
I'll stop here and we'll record that. All right. Anyway.
No, it's 50. That's right. Okay.
Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere he leads me in this world below. Anywhere without him dearest joys would fade. Anywhere with Jesus I am not afraid. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I am not alone. Other friends may fail me, he is still my own. Though his hand may lead me over drearest ways, anywhere with Jesus is a house of praise. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I can go to sleep. When the darkening shadows round about me creep, knowing I shall wake and never more to roam. Anywhere with Jesus will be home, sweet home. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Thank you, Beck. I'll see y'all at the same time next week. May this hymn be a blessing to you and a prayer throughout this week. We'll see y'all.
Yay!